Hello, this is Berzinsky for Beardbrand. Welcome to the week 10 update of the growing of my beard for 90 days without cutting and trimming. I'm going to have to say goodbye mullet and say hello to the featherback shag. So people have been asking, what am I doing with the hair? And this goes back several months, obviously, back to, I think it was June when I got my last haircut with Jake the barber. This haircut has proved to be quite popular. If you look at that, I think it's 4.1 million views. Thank you. And thanks to Jake for that haircut. It's actually grown in really well. So I've done two things to my hair. I have cut what Jake the barber calls the lettuce. So if you think of a hamburger, the lettuce sticks out of the bun, and so I snipped that off. So the back of my hair here, I just trimmed off what would have been the growth on the back of my neck. I did that twice, and I did that once around my ear. If you think about your hair growing out, it's all like this length, that length, and then as it grows down, the hairs that are at the bottom, top of your ear bottom, are longest first, and so there's this thinness at the bottom. You see that actually with your beard, and I actually see that with my own beard. The hairs that are longest in the front are actually the least thick because they don't have the layer upon layer upon layer of hair. So I trimmed off the lettuce. That's the only thing I've done to my hair since, for the past almost 7 months. And people have asking, what are you doing? And frankly, I don't know what I'm doing. Little send up to Eric for the mullet. I actually really like Eric's mullet. The live stream last week where he was with Carlos, I thought his hair looked particularly good. I don't think it's the mullet of the 70s or the 80s that we think of. And actually, we think of it as an 80s haircut, but if you actually look here, Paul McCartney wore a mullet back in the 70s. So there's been versions of that. And there's some English dandies who actually wore the mullet as early as the 60s. So it didn't really catch on into deep parts of America and around the world until the 80s. I'm actually probably going back a little further for my hair inspiration, and I'm looking at George Harrison of the Beatles for my inspiration. There's a series of photographs that were taken basically over the course of maybe 2 years that pretty fairly document his hair growing out from what was pretty much a shorter haircut, more of a typical Beatles haircut, and he did not cut his hair. And so he had basically the equivalent of this hair, although parted in the middle, growing out, and that got longer and longer and longer. So what is my long-term goal? So right now, my hair is pretty easy. It's getting a little harder every day because I need to put a little more control into it. I did a video about a month ago about doing my hair, but even adding an inch to my hair has changed the proportion, changed the weight, and what I'm doing to it. So the point of this whole video is I'm just not sure what I'm going to do. And there's a lot of people who think, oh, you got to have a plan. You have to look the same all the time, or you need to just always be up on top of something, for example, your hair. But that's actually not always the case. Here at Beardbrand, we want you to actually, in a way, experiment with your beard growth, experiment with your hair. And hair is something like, for a lot of people, it grows back. If you're bald, obviously it doesn't, but with facial hair and with at least the hair on the bottom of your head, it's going to grow back. So why not take an opportunity to change up the style every once in a while? So I'm actually doing that. I'll come to back to that point in a minute. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to grow my hair, and it might get to this length of George Harrison. I don't know how that's going to look gray. The last time I had hair that long, it was pretty much black and a different look. So can I be a man of a certain age and have longer hair? Some people seem to think that I can. Others seem to think that I can't. I'm getting a lot of favorable responses on my Instagram account. I'm actually getting a lot of favorable responses from people I know, and I'm actually getting favorable responses from people that I don't know, and that's actually people stopping me or shopkeepers telling me that I really like your long silver hair. So that doesn't take into consideration all the people who are probably hating, who don't say anything, but I'm getting a lot of favorable comments. Does that make me want to grow it more? Yes, but it actually, you know, even if people were saying, you know, terrible things about the way my hair was looking, it probably wouldn't stop me from growing it. So I'm just trying to encourage people to actually go ahead and experiment with your hair. We have Eric, who's growing that mullet. Myself, I'm growing what I'm calling, you know, a feathered 70s kind of dude. This is actually the haircut I had in high school, more or less. If you look at this picture, which was taken 40 years ago. I'll be out of high school come 40 years in this May, which is just shocking to me that we put a lot of emphasis on those 4 years in America where we spend in high school, the finishing years of our education before going off to university. And yet it's been 40 years since I actually graduated that. And here we are, full circle. I'm rocking basically the same haircut that I had 40 years ago. Go figure. Anyhow, encouraging you guys to go ahead and play around with your hair. And people don't have to like what you're doing to your hair. Yes, you probably want to take into consideration your spouse, you know, people close to you, people's whose opinion you actually appreciate. But I put some, you know, polls up on Instagram, and early on I said, hey, I'm thinking about growing out my hair, and I gave an example. 80% said, don't do it, like your haircut short. And then as my hair's getting longer, put up a poll, what do you think of the longer hair? 50-50. The last time I put up a poll, 80% of the people liked the longer hair. So you might be on the top of a trend by, you know, changing up your hair. And that's another thing, you know, I can always come back to my barbershop haircut. I love going to the barbershop, and my barber loves me coming to the barbershop. But you know, once my hair is to a certain point, I'm going to be going to the barbershop to maintain that cut. So it doesn't mean that you don't go to a barbershop ultimately, but it means that maybe in the meantime, while your hair's growing, you go a little less. So challenging you guys to actually think about what you're doing to your hair, and that you don't necessarily have to be trapped in a style that you've always worn. A lot of guys do that. I'm not looking to be the guy who's going to be changing my hair every other month or just for fun. That's probably not me. Probably going to grow this and see how it goes. And ultimately, I'll probably come back to my typical barbershop haircut, which I really like, which I know is tried and true with me. So comment below and tell us what haircuts you think will be trending soon. That's an interesting thing. We were actually talking about that, circle of guys sitting around thinking, okay, the barbershop haircut, the high and tight, or the fades are very, very popular. And it's popular in America. You say when it gets to the middle of America, you know it's popular. And everyone in America pretty much is rocking a really short barbershop haircut. But is that where the future is of hair cuts and hair care? Not quite sure. Maybe it's time for a longer haircut to return. Anyway, I'm going to zoom in for my 10-week close-up, showing you where my beard is at 70 days without cutting and trimming on my 90-day journey. One thing I want to point out is this area of my hair is just bothering me. These hairs are really long. I have them actually combed down. Random hairs are really showing up higher on my cheeks. I don't know where they've been. Maybe they're dormant, slow-growing hairs. The hairline is coming up. It's hard to see in this light, and especially with my white hair on my white skin. And the lettuce on the bottom of my neck, I cannot wait to trim. Anyhow, let's do that close-up. So that's it, guys, the week 10 update of the growing of my beard for 90 days without cutting and trimming. 20 more days, 3 weeks, 3 more installments, and we will begin to do a little trimming. Can't wait for that to happen. But we won't be trimming this anytime soon. Comment below and tell us what you think of the longer hair on guys, and what do you think about the Beardbrand team experimenting with their hair. Till we meet again, beard on.
Thanks for watching this video. Beardbrand has launched a private community called The Alliance. It's for men who are looking to invest in themselves and who are looking to keep on growing. Click the link over there and come join us, or stick around and watch some more awesome videos.